At this place in history, we're in Burlington with Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society, Steve Perkins. What are we doing here today?
So we're on the grounds of the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, and we're going to be talking about the really unique landscape that's around us. So we've asked Devin Coleman, who's the Vermont State Architectural Historian, to join us and tell us all about it.
The story here really begins in 1972, when the original church burned, unfortunately, and the Catholic Diocese made a decision to rebuild on this site and build modern, because their congregation was modern, living in modern houses, working in modern offices, modern schools. Why shouldn't they worship in a modern building as well? And so to do that, the church hired Edward Larrabee Barnes to design the cathedral and landscape architect Daniel Urban Kiley to design the landscape around the building.
And I hear Kiley was a big name. What else is he known for?
He is really regarded today as one of the most, if not the most, foremost practitioners of landscape architecture of the 20th century. So he was a big deal. And what's really notable is that he was designing projects for the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Lincoln Center in New York City, working out of his office and home in Charlotte, Vermont, for more than 50 years. So this little office on the shore of Lake Champlain was doing internationally renowned landscape projects, and this is the only one in Burlington. So it's really significant.
Devin, can you tell us a little bit more about Kiley's philosophy of landscape design? Is this indicative of his work?
Yes, this is classic Kiley, if you will. What's really interesting is that the roots of his designs come out of 17th century French Baroque landscape design, which is very geometric and laid out with alleys of trees and creating small rooms within a landscape. His designs complement the geometries of modernist buildings. And so here, for example, you can see how the lines of the trees, the grid that he worked with, provide a structure for the landscape, and they line up with the angles of the building. Within that structure, the individual trees, the texture of the bark, the branches, the sunlight coming through the canopy activates the space and gives it a natural feeling. So it's that combination of the natural elements within geometric layout that is trademark for Kiley's work.
I hate to talk about it, but this site is being sold. Any thoughts on what's going to happen to this property?
Well, it's hard to say at this point. It's just going on the market, so who knows what might become of it. It is a really important space within Burlington. For over 150 years, it has been the site of a church and been, I like to call it, kind of a place of refuge within the bigger, the hustle and bustle of the city. There's a lot going on around it, which is great. That's part of why Burlington is fun to be in. But within any urban environment, you still need to balance that hustle and bustle with quiet places. And I think this is one of them, where you can step out of the urban environment, be in some grass and some trees, and just sort of take a pause and then step back into the city.
At this place in history,